Hello, and welcome to Microsoft Excel for You. My name is Lee Franklin, and today we're going to be talking about using Microsoft Excel, or actually we're looking at formatting the spreadsheet in Excel. So, question we ask ourselves first is, why? What is the purpose of formatting spreadsheet? Well, the reason for this is clarity. You want to minimize your number of mistakes. You want to be able to look away, look back at the spreadsheet, and be able to read it very quickly and easily, trying to extract the relevant information. So we're going to just look at the basics of formatting the Excel spreadsheet and seeing how it can help us to realize true numbers in its calculations. So let's dive straight in. So first of all, we're presented with a spreadsheet. I've just written a few little details here so we can see what can actually happen with the spreadsheet. Excel allows us to identify preset kinds of information, and it can actually format it in a particular way. We can later on decide we want that format to be different, but it does have an initial format. So first of all, I have my spreadsheet, and when I click on the spreadsheet, I have my active cell. So do remember that you can only type within the active cell location. So let's click here. I'm going to click next to this heading, which I'll put name. I'm going to put in the name. Steve. Press enter and Steve stays where it is. Actually, when I typed in Steve and press enter, it's automatically aligned to the left. So any name, any text I type will automatically align itself to the left. One little known fact is Excel isn't limited to the size of text to fit within this area here. You can actually fit up to 256 characters, so it can store quite a lot of information within one cell. So next, a number, 1, 2, 3, press enter, and identify this as a number and automatically aligned itself to the right. I can click on that cell and use my alignment tools up here, so I can go to the center, to the left, to the right. It doesn't matter, it's still identify a number, but when you initially type it in, it goes to that particular position. And finally, if I put in a date, so if I type in 12/05/20 and press enter to confirm that, not only did it align itself to the right like it did with the number, but it also expanded the format so it makes it stand in a clearer format. Now I should point out we are using English format because I'm doing this training in England. Now this is very important when it comes to formatting, and a little alarm bell needs to be ringing in your head when you see this. So when I look up at the spreadsheet and I look up at my toolbar at the top here, you'll see this little thing up here. It looks like some coins, and it is to deal with the format. So I can choose a variety of different format from pounds, dollars, and other symbols. But what's my main interest is this symbol located here. If when you first open up Excel and you see a dollar symbol, that means that your computer is set to US settings, and that's understandable because Microsoft is a US program. But if you're working in England, you want it to be UK settings, so you don't just go into here and make the relevant changes. You'll have to go to regional settings. You'll need to go into your start button, go into the settings, and in there find your regional settings and set it to United Kingdom or whichever country you're in. So again, alarm bells. Whenever you see a little dollar symbol there, that means that your computer is set to the wrong country, unless you happen to be in the US. The ramifications of this is that this date would actually change if you're lucky. Sometimes it won't, and you'll find a lot of your calculations will go completely skew with. So it's something to watch out for and double check. Watch out for that dollar symbol next to this little currency item up at the top here. Okay, I think I've gone on enough about that. So let's now make our way to another sheet. So with this other sheet, I've written some information here. And notice my text has automatically aligned itself to the left. My numbers have aligned itself to the right in its actual layout. The most important thing when it comes to dealing with a spreadsheet isn't the formatting, isn't the beautiful pictures, it's the data, it's the information that's typed in. You make sure you type it in, save it. Verify that the data is written in there correctly, save it. Then you worry about the formatting. So things we can look at when it comes to dealing with the formatting. If I click on a cell, I've got this whole toolbar with a range of options that I can alter and change. So I've got Apple, I'm going to go for the most simplest of formatting changes. I'm going to click on B for bold. And there we go, Apple is turned bold. And I can go for this color fill. I could click and choose a color, and I'm not holding the mouse, I'm just moving the mouse around, and I can see lots of changes occurring. Once I'm happy with my change, let's say I'm going to go for that, click, and that change has occurred. Good. And as you can imagine, we also have our text and text colors. So I can pick and choose from a variety of these things. I'm going to click on banana. Now let's say I want this same yellowy orange color again. So I can click on that drop down arrow, and this is the most recent colors that I've dealt with. So when I start choosing recent colors, they will start to appear there. I'm going to click away because the last color that I chose will actually not appear there, but actually right next to it. So if I click on that fill color option, there we go. Click on there, click. So you can, instead of searching around for your particular color, you can just click straight up there to find your particular color options. Good. I'm going to undo that. That's me using the keyboard functions Control Z. Again, do remember, as part of this course, I will attach shortcut key menus as well. And actually, I might even do a video on the most popular shortcut keys that are most efficient when working around the spreadsheet. Good. Now, another tool, and a beautiful tool to deal with, is the Format Painter. An underused until you learn how to use it. And simply put, the Format Painter, when I select a particular format I want, I can click on the Format Painter. You'll see the little marching ants. I'll click on something else, and it applies that format. That means it applied the bold, it applied the orange, and anything else. So it doesn't change the context, it won't change the formula, it'll just apply the format of whatever I did to one, it will apply to another. So I'm going to select these, I'm going to give that a color. I'm going to select this heading like this, click on the Format Painter, and then click. Because I selected that length, therefore it formatted everything in the same format. It kept these numbers in a number format, and it kept the text in a text format, because that's exactly what was happening here. If I had a text format and applied it to these, it may alter the actual information like that. Good. So, going to undo. I'm going to reapply my formatting. Another way I can do this with my format, I can select these two rows. So I have the orange and the other section below white. I'm going to click on a Format Painter. I'm going to go to where banana is and select this area here. Let go. So it's a very quick way of applying a couple of simple formats to apply to the whole screen. And this particular method of doing like a stripe method means that I can look away, look back, and identify very quickly where my apple data is, where my banana data is, just quickly traveling along, very nice and easy to look at. I have my title here, Fruit, the fruit company. I want to make that stand out. And what I can do, if I want to make that stand out a bit further, is I can select where I want that information to go. I want it to go here. I'm going to choose the option Merge and Center. And what it will do is it will merge those cells together to become one cell, and it will center that piece of text. With that still selected, I can expand by clicking on the larger A. I'm going to go for a fill color. This time I'm going to go for a purple. And that text is a bit too dark, so I'm going to go for a bright color text and click away. So I have made this title stand out in its own separate entity. By using merge and center, it means it won't apply to the rules of the column. So let's take a little note here. If I double click in between D and E, let's expand this so I have an oversized column. I can go between D and E, double click, and it will auto adjust the size of that column, making it look neat and tidy. If I had merge and centered this heading, then that column D would have actually been the size of the fruit company, but by separating it using merge and center, let's try this. There we go. I've disconnected merge and center. I'm going to give a double click, and there we go. The fruit company has occurred within that first row. I'm now going to select it, merge and center. Now when I go between D and E and double click, and it auto adjusts to whatever's the largest item in there, which was strawberry. Again, one of the rules I want you to keep constantly in your head when it comes to dealing with a spreadsheet, which is, if I'm doing it repetitively, I'm probably doing something wrong. The computer is meant to do the repetitive stuff, not you. So what I can do is I can click on this button, which selects all, the entire spreadsheet. I can double click in between these column headings, and it's auto adjusted everything. So not only has the first column adjusted, but some of them have either got bigger or smaller according to the information that's in it. So let's just try that one more time. I'm going to increase the size of these columns. I'm going to make this column too small. I'm going to make this one a lot bigger. So let's try this one more time. Click on that button up in the top corner so everything is selected. I'm going to go between any of these headings. This time I'm going to choose between A and B, give a double click, and everything is auto adjusted. Actually, I find that the fruit company is out there in the middle of nowhere. I want to get rid of a couple of these columns. So a quick way of doing this is select, I'm holding down the mouse and drawing it across A and B. I'm going to right click, and I can choose the option delete. And those two columns have been removed. Please do remember, when you right click does one thing and one thing only. That is, it brings up a menu with all the functions that are necessary for that particular item. So when I right click up in the menu up here, I get a different right click menu. If I right clicked over here, I get a different one. And when I right click over here, I get a different menu. Some of the functions will be the same, and some of them will have disappeared, but it depends on what you're selecting and choosing when it comes to formatting the relevant item. Another way of formatting when it comes to dealing with Excel is, if I tried my date option again to 20, I'm going to press enter to confirm that. You may have noticed there's a slight, just a millisecond of hashes appearing there. I'm going to do this and see what happened. Hello, we've got hashes occurring. The hashes don't mean it's an error. It means that your column is too small. When it comes to identifying, let's say, the word strawberry, I'm going to shrink the size of that column, and I can identify, human mind is brilliant identifying patterns, that I can see that the word strawberry, I'm only seeing part of the word, so I can identify that very quickly. Yet, if I only have part of a number, I will misrepresent that number. So what was 433, I may just see 43. So Excel realizes that numbers and data are very important when it comes to doing calculations. So if the column's not showing everything, it puts little hash symbols. So by putting my mouse pointer in between I and J and give a double click, it has expanded the size of that row to show you the proper information. So do watch out. If you find that you're getting the hash symbol appearing, it's not an error. It just means that your column is not large enough. Okay. So we can change the color of a cell. We can apply a color to a range of cells and use our format painter to apply that format to other cells. We can select a couple of different formatted areas and use our format painter and apply multiple items. Do notice, and this is one little area that I'm going to try here, when I click format painter, I've selected banana, I click format painter and I click on this cell. Yes, that is changed, but my format painter icon has disappeared. So if I want to apply the Format Painter to multiple items, I'm going to click on Apple. This time I'm going to double click Format Painter. So the idea is not only have I pushed the button, I've forced the button in. And now I can go click, 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 select, click. I can now apply multiple Format Painter. And once I'm happy with this, either I can press Escape or click on Format Painter to switch off that option. Now I'm just going to do a quick cleanup operation here. So I've clicked on this blank area. I'm going to click Format Painter and I'm going to select this area here, and thus getting rid of all that information. I'll delete this number as well. And one final thing to look at with the basics of formatting. Let's try 12, 3, and 20. There we go. We got a date again. That date is okay, but I want a more visual representation. I want it to stand out. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose this option, Format Cell. And the Format Cell allows me to take to this window, which gives me a wide variety of different formatting. It shows me here the particular format I have, and it shows me the variety of other formats. I'm going to click on this option here, which is giving me the worded version of the month. And this example is showing what my data would look like. I'm happy with that. I'm going to click OK. And now I can utilize that format and apply it to a variety of other items. Okay. Finally, so we have our fruit company. We've given it a nice bit of color and it stands out. I can look away and look back and identify bananas, pears, strawberries, and the data that relates to that. Except that my other team deals with Reading, Oxted, and Crawley. So when it comes to looking at information, I'm having a bit of struggle of looking at what that data is. So I could change that format. So I'm going to scroll down as I prepared earlier. So now this makes it a lot easier to read Reading, Oxted, and Croydon. This is very good. Or is it? Because if it was good, then I wouldn't really be pointing this particular point out. But this only helps the people looking at that information. And really, I want to combine this with this. And if we take it and combine it together, we get this, which is a complete mess. Because then I'm trying to emphasize everything, and trying to emphasize everything doesn't quite work. So it takes a bit of experimentation, a bit of artistic flair when it comes to looking at this. And one very good example of this is something like this as a design. So we have our heading standing out with a bit of color appearing at the bottom, and we can also see our representation of this information. So you'll find as you experiment with your artistic license, best technique here is, when it comes to dealing with Excel, make your changes, save it, look away, look back, and if you can read the information quickly or read it within a couple of seconds, then that is a good format. Okay, so hopefully this is giving you a basic idea of formatting an Excel spreadsheet and trying to improve the clarity of it. Again, there will be a more advanced version. As you can imagine, there is a lot more options with this. But please, go out there, experiment, and try these same rules in Word, in PowerPoint, and a variety of other programs. Okay then, and hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.